The story of BridgeValley Community and Technical College is the story of two colleges with very different histories that are actually quite lengthy, being combined into one community college that services the entire Kanawha River Valley. As a college, we have focused on our mission, we focus on our community, and we were actually at the beginning of 2020 finalizing our campus development plan that is required by our state legislature. And we were buttoning down those details when the pandemic occurred. As early as February of 2020, the BridgeValley team started pulling together our folks that were first responders along with the president's cabinet to sit down and talk about how we would respond to this pandemic. And this, at the time, was very focused on there were some cruise ships and things like that were being forced to quarantine in place. And so we initially looked at some shelter-in-place options in case we needed to serve our community in that way. And very quickly, it became clear that our focus needed to shift to supporting our community as well as providing resources to those in need.
We realized that, it fits with our mission. It fits with what we do as a community college and what we do every day. And it didn't take long before we saw our faculty, our nursing faculty, our allied health faculty in the hospitals, in the clinics, helping out. It wasn't long before we began to see that we needed to teach remotely, that we needed to understand what it meant to do a hybrid class, what it meant to do a totally online class, what it meant to do a synchronous versus asynchronous class, and what that meant for our students.
Perhaps the most important strategy we implemented in the very beginning was to make the decision to do the majority of our classes online. That left approximately 300 students on campus that required hands-on instruction. In addition, we took steps to ensure the safety of students that would be on campus with social distancing guidelines.
As we began looking at how we were going to respond to the pandemic, and again, not being sure what we were going to do, we also became cognizant of the fact that we were going to have to take care of facilities on a large scale and to an extent that our normal crew would not be able to do. That all of a sudden the sanitation that had to happen, the cleaning on a regular basis that was going to have to occur, the idea of bathrooms alone became really substantial in what we were thinking about. And we had the very good fortune to reach out to Goodwill and to have some very competent people come on board.
Well, I used to work for a company that used to work at BridgeValley, and BridgeValley asked me for an opportunity. Would I like to get hired? And I told them yes. And I took the opportunity, and it's a great place to work for, and great people and great group of people that, like a family to love and care about you. People come and go. This is a community college. It's a start for anyone. And gave me the opportunity, gave me benefits, a job, a retirement, and everything.
It's this idea of partnering with the community, of reaching out, of knowing that you need help or knowing that you can provide help, and bringing people on board and making those relationships that became vital as we responded to COVID from a physical aspect.
Working as a team and communication with each other about what we're going to wipe down, what's wipe down, and making sure that the job gets done daily.
And with the dental hygiene program, we brought in architects. We said, what's the best practice? We reached out to the American Dental Association and read their reports on how best to have a clinic, and came up with the idea that we needed to have some UV lighting as well as some very advanced and invasive cleaning procedures, which we then put in place. So we were able to continue to provide the service and provide it in a way that everyone involved was safe and that we were comfortable providing the service.
Our main focus this whole time has been on the success and safety of our students. We've kept that in mind, and we've continued to expand our services. We allowed students the opportunity to pick up items from our food pantry on a weekly basis. And in some cases, we personally delivered food to families that did not have access to transportation. In planning events, we made sure to include our community in as many as we could. We hosted several outdoor movies that maintained social distancing, but allowed families, faculty, staff, and students to come together just to socialize, even for a little bit.
In all of this preparation, we also began to think about how does that impact upon our programs? What does it mean for us as a educational institution looking into the future? And we've came up with 3 areas that we were interested in exploring and defining and growing. And the first was telemedicine and telehealth. It became very important to us that we be able to facilitate what we saw as the growing world of telemedicine and telehealth. And in West Virginia, where we are very remote in many areas of the state, where people live up in the holler and don't necessarily have the infrastructure to get to doctors, to do medicine in other ways, we began to think about what does that mean for us.
As part of our campus development plan, we were actually looking at moving part of our South Charleston operations to Charleston. In particular, some of our health programs to be closer to local hospitals.
As we were deciding to move from South Charleston into Charleston proper, we were fortunate in conversations with the EDA to come upon a proposed grant where we would outfit a floor of the new building that we're going to be moving into as a hospital floor. And in that, to embed telemedicine as to what we would be providing. And that would be a way to not only educate our students, but to do professional development for the community and community health providers. Our other campus in Montgomery, West Virginia, we're partnering with a hospital there to do telehealth. So telemedicine and telehealth and the combined relationship of the 2 campuses really gives us a structure by which to deliver a curriculum and a modality that we hadn't anticipated before. That really, it was COVID that brought that to mind. So as we thought about telemedicine and telehealth, we realized that a lot of what we were planning was contingent upon the infrastructure of West Virginia. And this is not new to West Virginia and our dialogue in West Virginia. The idea of broadband, the idea of getting into the hollers, the idea of fiber optic cable, all has been discussed for a long time. But we decided that if we really wanted to make an impact, an economic impact, as well as facilitate telemedicine and telehealth, that one area that we wanted to focus on in the future was infrastructure. And looking at building loops of optic fiber and communication links between our 2 campuses, all of this comes together to help the individual towns along the Kanawha Valley interact with each other and allows us to provide a comprehensive educational platform. So infrastructure becomes very, very important to us. And in combining with our highway program, our horizontal boring program, our lineman program, are just some of the foundation programs. We also realized that what was happening in Charleston and in the Kanawha Valley was a loss of employment. That many people who had been employed in different industries, hospitality, tourism, businesses in general, were no longer being employed. And one of the parts that we have been very cognizant of is the idea of when we have welders, when we have diesel mechanics, when we have healthcare professionals included, that they be given the tools to be able to start their own businesses, no matter what the program is here. And to that, we think of entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship as being embedded in the programs, so that if I'm a welder and I want to start my own fabrication facility, that I have access to welders who have businesses, who can teach our people how to be entrepreneurs, but be successful at it and have the right tools.
The pandemic has been difficult for our country, our state, and our community. As a college, we have become stronger during COVID because it allowed us to refocus on our mission and on our community. And if I can borrow from author and photographer James Clear and his compass theory, as the pathfinders of BridgeValley, we have realized the problem with the treasure hunt is that most people spend all of their time thinking about the treasure. And the fastest way to get to a particular spot, however, is to set your compass and start walking. Commit to your goal with the utmost conviction. Develop a clear, single-minded focus for where you are headed, and release the desire to achieve a particular outcome, and focus instead on the slow march forward. Pour all of your energy into the journey. Be present in the moment. Be committed to the path you are walking. Be committed to your community. Know that you are moving unwaveringly in one clear direction and that this direction is right for you. But never get wrapped up in a particular result or achieving a certain goal by a specific time. In other words, your goal becomes your compass, not your buried treasure. And it is the commitment to walking the path that matters.